Welcome to Murfreesboro Storytellers, a bicentennial celebration. I'm your host, John Hood. Our city is celebrating its 200th birthday, and each month of this over-year-long celebration has a theme to emphasize everything that's made Murfreesboro so special. Over the next several months, our program will cover a variety of topics, from our work to our educators to so much more. This month, the theme for the bicentennial is about our music. And our guests today are Raphael Bundage, Professor of Music, Department of Music at MTSU in Murfreesboro, School of Music, as a matter of fact. Bertie Donnell, who is President of the Murfreesboro Symphony, and Gloria Christie, who is Festival President for Uncle Dave Macon Days. Thank you for coming and welcome to our Storytellers program. Raphael, MTSU is so much an integral part of our community, and especially the music department, the School of Music.
Yes, the School of Music annually puts on over 200 performances with our very talented students from literally all over the country, and we have now many international students, especially in the area of piano. MTSU has a fantastic faculty, and they also will put on several concerts during the year. We are very fortunate to have a wonderful leader of our department who will be retiring at the end of 2013, Dr. George Reardon. George came to us in 2003 and has done a marvelous job of assembling all the cats in the area of music, and I want to let the community know how much we have appreciated Dr. Reardon's leadership over the past 11 years. He's just done a fantastic job. Everyone knows of our Band of Blue, of course, who will be at all of the games again this fall.
The Band of Blue has over 300 members now, right?
They are just wonderful. And
what is Band of Blue?
The Band of Blue is the name of the kind of the logo name for the MTSU band.
The marching band.
Yes,
Aren't they one of the largest bands?
They're one of the largest bands in the nation, headed up by Craig Cornish, who does a wonderful, wonderful job. So there are just tons of, a lot of music making over there. Especially, well, almost any day of the week, you can contact the School of Music or go on the web page, mtsumusic.com, and see what individual recitals are going on, or concerts with one of the large groups. I have the privilege of working with the MTSU choral and opera department, and so we're looking forward to our performances this next year, highlighted by Mozart's fantastic opera, his last opera, The Magic Flute, and that will be performed in January. So I could go on and on, but we are very proud of our music students there.
And MTSU has been celebrating its centennial during this bicentennial year for Murfreesboro.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And we pull from the symphony, we pull from the MTSU faculty also. For our season coming up, which will be, we are celebrating our 30th year this year for the Murfreesboro Symphony Orchestra, and we will be pulling from the faculty, Stephen Smith, tenor, beautiful, beautiful voice.
Wonderful tenor, yes.
Yes, and Angela Tips, she does the directing for our Murfreesboro Symphony Chorus. She's just done a fabulous job with that. And this past year, this season that is closing is the first season we have put that together, and they will be performing twice for us next year. One at our Christmas program, which will be Sounds of Christmas and will be traditional sounds of Christmas. We will also have Dina Cancrin, which has a gorgeous voice. We've had her before, and we practically adopt these people that's belonging to the symphony.
Wonderful. Bertie, you mentioned the 30th anniversary.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about the history of the symphony, how it got to where it is
the
today.
symphony was started originally by Lawrence Harvin, who was a faculty member at MTSU, and he took it for, well, he started it and put it together and kept it going, and I don't know how he did it on occasions, because after having worked with it for several years now, it takes a lot of money to put on one of those performances.
Certainly.
And so when he stepped down as music director, then we started looking for one, and we hired a gentleman by the name of Jeff Reed from Bowling Green, Kentucky, and he stayed with us for a couple of years. And then we decided that we really needed to do our own thing, so we went out and looked for one, and we now have Joseph Lee, who is a graduate of Vanderbilt, and he works in the area with the Huntsville Youth Symphony Orchestra as well, and with Swanee, and has done a variety of things. And he's young and he's energetic, and the musicians love him, and that's important, that he can get sounds from these people that you just wouldn't think could put out these kinds of sounds. We perform at the First United Methodist Church, and it is gorgeous. And one of the things we're going to have at this coming season in the fall is one of our pieces in the fall will feature that organ at the First United Methodist Church, and it does have a sound to it. You just can't believe. It's just gorgeous, just beautiful. In fact, one of our board members, Dennis Milnar, is one of the people who worked on that organ. He does organs.
From Eagleville?
From Eagleville, that's right.
Bertie, tell me, where does your funding come from for the symphony?
Personal donations. We write grants, and then we look for sponsorships from businesses in the area. It is very worthwhile. We do more than just perform on stage. These are professional musicians. They are not, well, I'd like to play for the symphony for a little while tonight. They are professional musicians. It's very expensive. It costs in the neighborhood of $30,000 to put on one of our symphony performances.
For one performance?
For one performance.
So your budget is like?
Not very much. It's really only about $150,000 a year. And we really do scrimp our budget. We pinch every penny we can get our hands on, but it's hard. It's very difficult to raise the money, and it's something that most people don't realize even now, that a town as small as Murfreesboro could have a professional symphony that can rival Nashville.
Because typically you think about it in cities of the size of Nashville, Atlanta, and other much larger cities.
Yes, and many of our musicians will play for Chattanooga when they need somebody else, when Nashville needs somebody else, they play for the symphony. They go other places and play. But we have a core group that play for us, and then as we need other people, of course, we go out and hire from the pool. We are extremely blessed in the Middle Tennessee area to have the talent and the music talent that we have. We also have one of the piano people, professors at MTSU, Dr. Najer.
Yes.
He will be performing this year. So we pull from our local group, and it's like, why should we go out and bring them in when we've got them here already?
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, music in July, and that brings on Uncle Dave Macon Days.
And also, when I'm listening to all this wonderful, rich heritage we have, I can't help but think of the influence of Margaret and Neil Wright, and also that how they were influenced my life and affected, I guess, my history with roots music, having that in the schools when I was a young girl at Hobgood School, and listening to those tunes that were so much a part of America's history. Had no idea that later on down the continuum that I would become a part of one of the largest old-time music festivals in the nation.
How did you get involved, Gloria?
How did I get involved? That's a good question. Kicking and screaming with Jesse.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Well, many of you know our founder, Jesse Messick, was quite persuasive, and he knew people. He knew how to put the right people together around him, and he could see things in you that a lot of you didn't even see in yourself. And he said, you know, Gloria, I think you could be the director. And I went, I don't know about that. But anyway, I was a school teacher at the time, and I thought, well, I'll just do it with the same kind of methods I used in the classroom. So that's what started the whole experience. And I've been with the directors or president since actually 1984. So this is my 28th year.
Oh,
so.
my.
Yeah, Jesse started this initiative along with the Macon family and a lot of interested community individuals who really wanted to create a downtown event that would draw folks to the downtown area. As you know, Jesse was a businessman. He was quite I think he was quite a visionary.
He was. Pharmacist and druggist. And,
yes.
Yeah, great part of our community.
He was also a great part of the initiative with the Main Street organization. He just loved Murfreesboro, and also it was a bit of a comedian. He almost emulated the styles, the performing styles himself of Uncle Dave Macon. And he was a great fan of roots music. And so with all that said, that 1978 became the first old-time banjo picking contest. One day, a couple hours, and the next thing we knew, it had, by the time I got involved with it 7 years later, there was like maybe 3,000 to 5,000 people coming, and now it's 25,000 to 30,000 people that come from 3 days all over the world. Roots music, Americana music is extremely popular, and just going back to you can't go back to the music without going back to the culture. So you're actually drawing from those experiences, and that's been our goal, is to try to not only have a festival, but also educate people about the culture of Tennessee.
Wasn't Uncle Dave Macon born in?
Actually, he was born in Smart, Tennessee, which is outside of McMinnville.
That's in Warren County.
Warren County.
For the benefit of a lot of folks watching who moved into the community, tell us and them, who was Uncle Dave Macon?
That's a good question. You know, I went to a television interview the first year I was director and did not know that, so I love that question.
I know at some point in time he lived out on the Woodbury Pike.
Right.
Out at Kittrell.
Out at Kittrell, because my daddy knew him.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was the first superstar of the Grand Ole Opry. He brought a lot of the performing styles that are emulated today to the Grand Ole Opry, and his lively performances, and some of it playing the banjo, the clawhammer style of banjo.
What style?
Clawhammer. Clawhammer, a freewheeling style was his characteristic performing style. That was pretty typical of late 19th century, early 20th century. Vaudeville acts kind of came. And so he was emulating also a lot of the things that he'd seen. You know, the tunes that he heard and the tunes that he played, even some of the actual lyrics and sounds, were things that he'd heard all his life coming up through the culture. So a lot of folks don't really know that his great friend was James Devon, who had the largest music publishing company in the South at the time, in the early 20s.
Out of Lawrenceburg.
Out of Lawrenceburg. Right. James Devon was a promoter of the shape note singing that we're talking. You're saying you're going to initiate Sacred Harp. Yay! I was really excited about that. But what James Devon had the first radio station in Tennessee, which went through a couple of layers though, but that particular initiative ended up being a WSM 650, which later on Uncle Dave became just a institution for a number of years.
You mentioned Uncle Dave lived out on the Woodbury Highway.
Oh, Woodbury Pike.
He's buried.
Know the house. I remember the stories that he came into Murfreesboro, would catch a bus at the Greyhound bus station and go to Nashville to play on the Grand Ole Opry bus back to Murfreesboro.
I remember growing up living in Kittrell that my father was very vocal on that kind of culture with Uncle Dave Macon and where he lived and that kind of thing. He brings him close to home when you do that.
I believe I'm remembering correctly, when his funeral was held at the First Methodist Church, they had such a turnout there that they couldn't accommodate all the people. I was working at WGNS at the time. We used to broadcast our Sunday morning services. So they asked if we could broadcast the service, and they got radios and put outside where the people outside could hear the service.
Wonderful.
Because I remember that funeral procession stretched all the way from Murfreesboro to Coleman Cemetery, where he was originally buried. Now he's been moved, hasn't he?
No, he's still there.
Is he still at Coleman Cemetery?
In fact, that's still considered the largest funeral ever in Rutherford County.
It was a tremendous funeral.
One of our members, our committee members, Billy Henson, said he was a young boy then, and he was standing outside that church that day of Uncle Dave Macon's funeral, and he said he looked up and there was this just tall, lanky fella standing there, and he said, "Boy, I don't think we're going to get in there today." And he said, "Well, yeah," and Billy, of course, was not going to be able to get in there. He says, "Maybe we just stand out here." Maybe that's what they were hearing, is they could hear it from outside. But it was Hank Williams Jr.
Hank Williams Sr.
Yeah, Sr.
Yeah, all the stars of that day of the Grand Ole Opry were here that day for the funeral. You mentioned about the Sacred Harp Singers and shaped notes. And
yes.
Help us share about that.
Margaret Wright, of course, had the shaped note singers, a group called the Sacred Harp Singers, actually, at MTSU many years ago. And I have a group made up of some young talented singers now, and as part of MTSU's centennial celebration, we're going to record some Sacred Harp music this fall, and to kind of come full circle with what Margaret Wright had done. So we're putting out a recording. It'll have other things on it, but among the music on the recording by the MTSU Schola Cantorum will be a group of Sacred Harp tunes.
Margaret Johnson Wright and Neil Wright, her husband, were the music department back in those days. Neil was the department chair, now the School of Music.
It's called
certainly a great part of the history.
Exactly, the Wright Music Building. And so reintroducing that to the students, first of all, and to the community will be a wonderful project for us this fall.
His name slips my mind, though, but who was the fellow that did all that music education program with Margaret and Neil? Do you?
T. Earl Hinton.
T. Earl Hinton.
Yes. That's the program that I remember hearing at Hobgood School as a little girl that T. Earl had done.
Yes,
Does that still exist, those tapes that he did out in the schools?
I do not know that, but we've named now, of course, the music hall at MTSU, the T. Earl Hinton Music Hall.
Wow.
And he was very, very one of the instrumental people in getting education out to in our community and throughout Nashville. Also, just
quite an innovator, don't you think?
Yes, exactly.
That's one of the things the symphony does, is we send out a group of people to the school system, to all the schools, and there's about 4 or 5 musicians, and they go out and they play, and then the children can ask questions, they can touch the instruments and ask questions of the musicians and do that kind of thing, and we do quite a bit of that in the music education part of the program for the symphony.
With the Sacred Harp Singers, that name, did they actually use a harp initially?
No, it's interesting. The word Sacred Harp has to do with the throat, which is instrument, God-made instrument, and that's why it's called the Sacred Harp.
It's
a cappella, isn't it?
Yes, a cappella, and it's shaped note singing is, I can't remember all the particulars about it, but you have the notes are, as the notes are shaped, you sing different parts of the scale, and so it's a teaching or mnemonic device for singers, and it's very, very popular throughout the United States now. Yes.
Bertie, you have quite an ambitious program coming up for the symphony.
Yes, we do.
Beginning in the fall.
We certainly do. We have our first one in September, then we have one in November, one in December, one in March, and one in April. And we start out with an evening in Paris.
Oh, wow.
And we will have some of Debussy's music. We will have some of George Gershwin's music for this concert. And then the second one in November, we will have Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto, and that's the one that Najir will play for us, which of course is just, it's just gorgeous. I mean, there's no other word for it. Then our Christmas program is going to be the sounds of music, the traditional sounds of music, and Stephen Smith at the MTSU will be the tenor there, and if you've never heard Stephen Smith sing, you should. He's just gorgeous. We will also have the Murfreesboro Symphony Choir chorus singing there with us. The one that's directed by Angela Tipps. Then we will have Dina Cancrin singing for one in March, and then we will close it with Tarkovsky's music in April. It's going to be a really good, a very, very good season, one that you should come to. You can buy season tickets, you can buy tickets at the door, you can contribute money and help us do this, to be really a part of the family for the Murfreesboro Symphony Orchestra. It really is
Where does the symphony perform?
At the First United Methodist Church.
Wonderful venue
on,
for it.
Oh, it's beautiful, on the Thompson Lane. And when you go in that church, you feel like you should be in the symphony. And when you hear the fall, when you're in the fall concert in September, when you hear that organ play. Last season we had just an organ concert. We had Andrew Reisinger come and play, and we had a few of the musicians, but it was primarily the organ. It's phenomenal. You just don't hear things like that. You don't have an opportunity to see an organ, let alone hear one like that.
Is there an opportunity for children that, I just wonder, those that might not experience such, is there some, like, is there a way for them to benefit and maybe hear? I know you say you go out into schools. I just wondered if they actually go in.
They actually go into the schools. Oh yes, we have children that go to concerts. We have tickets at $10.
Yeah.
So we do have a variety of pricing for the tickets. So
yeah.
And that's very cheap to hear a full professional orchestra play.
Absolutely.
And the most expensive tickets that we have are $40. You just can't beat a performance like that. And we have dinner at some of the local restaurants prior to that.
I think that's a neat touch to have the dinners before each concert.
Yes, so you can do that and go out. And for those of people who are patrons, that is, they contribute money or they have season tickets, we have a reception afterwards where you can meet a lot of the musicians, and we have a guest artist. They are always there too, and that's always nice.
Wonderful touch.
Well, our program being on this month during the month of July, the theme being music, and of course July 4th is a big date for the symphony.
The symphony has played at the July 4th event for, I guess, since day one. I don't know exactly the beginning date of that, but it certainly has played. And we play music that you think of as the patriotic 4th of July music, with lots of marches and that kind of thing. It's not a symphony. Sousa marches, yes, the ones you really think of as a march.
Yeah.
And we play through the fireworks, always play all the way through the fireworks. And we try to time them. It's interesting to try to time the music that when all the booms go off with the fireworks, that it actually works with that.
Well done, always.
Yes, they do a good
This
job.
year it'll be the 30th anniversary of the symphony, the 200th anniversary of the city of Murfreesboro, and the 235th anniversary of the United States of America.
Yeah.
A lot of things were born a few years this year. Must have been a fabulous year.
A great night for celebration.
Yes.
Gloria, we were talking about shape notes earlier and about this famous Christmas song that originated
Right,
here.
Beautiful Star of Bethlehem.
Tell us about the Beautiful Star of
Well,
Bethlehem.
of course, Mr. Boyce that wrote the song happened to be an acquaintance, or his daughter happened to be an acquaintance with one of our members, Louise Tomberlin. Louise, some of you may not know, but Louise Tomberlin and Sophie Tipton they're just beautiful singers who have been with the festival and organizers for years and years and years. Well, once they were singing Beautiful Star of Bethlehem one Sunday afternoon at the Gospel Showcase. That's the third day of Uncle Dave Macon Days, which we devote to gospel. Well, up comes to the stage area the daughter of the individual who had actually written the Beautiful Star of Bethlehem, and she relayed the story of how this gotten really inspired by her father, and evidently they were out in Walter Hill somewhere in a farming community, and Christmas was the gathering had happened with all the family and so forth, and he got an inspiration to write this song, but it was quite noisy, and as sometimes Christmas and family can be, so he decided to go to a place of solitude, which was in the barn, which kind of is interesting, barn, nativity, you know, kind of emulates the story there. But anyway, he got into the barn and he looked up through one of the cracks of the wooden slats there, and there was this beautiful star. So that's the song, The Beautiful Star of Bethlehem, which you can hear it performed at Uncle Dave Macon Days, even though it's summer and July.
You will hear it performed with the Murfreesboro Symphony Orchestra for their Christmas program.
Wow,
will you?
Yes, it will be performed
there. You go.
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh, beautiful Star of Bethlehem, shining far through shadows dim, giving a light to those who long have gone, guiding the wise men on their way under the place where Jesus lay. Oh, beautiful Star of Bethlehem, shine on, just the first verse. Well, we look forward to hearing that.
You can hear it by orchestra, yes.
At Uncle Dave Macon
See
Days.
how everything fits.
That's wonderful.
We have a great history of music in this area.
Unbelievable, we do.
Really do.
I'm just so thrilled that to be a part of sharing this with the next generation. We have a fellowship at Uncle Dave Macon Days. We are one of the few festivals in the nation who actually has a educational component, which we will take similar to what you're doing. Is a person who is interested in learning old-time skills, either a music or dance, they can mentor with a seasoned musician, and we will provide those lessons for them.
Where does your funding originate? Is it from ticket sales for Uncle Dave Macon Days?
Actually, we're like everyone else. We just kind of get it wherever we can. Right now, it's booth fees, and we do have a gate now. 2 years ago, we decided to sustain Uncle Dave Macon Days to the next generation. We had to go to ticket sales to be able to finance it. It's so expensive. Our budget too is close to $100,000 right now, just to what we do. We have $15,000 in prize money, but we want to get those quality musicians to come, and they just can't come without paying their way.
Our ticket sales represent about almost a third of our budget.
Right.
That's generally what nationwide ticket sales for orchestras and those kinds of things do. And it's you think about it as one of the things that I think about a lot with the symphony is it's very difficult to find the funds for it. It's just hard because people in these economic times, they don't have the money to start with. And then I think they figure that it just sort of goes on. It's just going to be there forever. And you know, if you ever lose the Uncle Macon Days, or if we ever lose the Murfreesboro Symphony in this area, we'll never get it back.
That's very true.
Just never get it back.
Well, I think that's why we have to, I mean, we've made some real deliberate attempts to educate the public as to what we're doing and why we're doing it. I know we're not there yet, but in order to sustain it, we have to share this mission with the young people. And you're right, it's not just folk art music or fine art music, it's the music in general of why we need to save this. And it's because it's so much a part of our culture here in Middle Tennessee and Murfreesboro.
It's become just an integral part. Just so many things that make this the great community it is.
Absolutely.
It really is. We just have about a minute left, Raphael. Did we mention the Messiah?
No, December 2nd and 3rd, the Middle Tennessee Choral Society will present, as it's done for 30 years, Handel's Messiah on the MTSU campus. Also, this fall, we will present Mendelssohn's oratorio, Elijah, and we're looking forward to that also. It's a great, great group.
Well, folks, thank you so much for coming. It's just been a joy to have you. Raphael Bundy, Professor of Music, the School of Music at Middle Tennessee State University. Bertie Donald, President of the Murfreesboro Symphony. And Gloria Christie, who is Festival President for Uncle Dave Macon Days. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John, for having us.
Enjoyed it.
Next month, we'll continue to look at the early days of Murfreesboro as the bicentennial theme is about our stories. Please take a moment to participate in and enjoy the many activities scheduled for our bicentennial celebration. For more information, please call our Parks and Recreation Department at 890-5333 or visit www.murfreesborotn.gov. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next month for another episode of Murfreesboro Storytellers, a bicentennial celebration.